What up, fellas? Yo, here Dave. Here another podcast just came to mind. So basically, this theme it was like a thought experiment, and what it is also related to all the things, all the last podcast. This thought experiment actually came to mind when I thought like I'm not doing something that actually is meaningful. Like I study a lot in theory, but I don't, and I like physically train, but where is the delivery? Where is the gospel? You know, and it's sort of considered a sin when you know something and you choose to ignore it. So I'm gonna talk today from an observation perspective from the media, because I wanted to be there. For instance, in the UK, in the United States, it was always my dream to fight for what's right. And I find myself with a family. I don't want to make it sound like I'm complaining. You're gonna get the point pretty soon. So I'm just saying that life brings me to a decision. And I think all my life I wasn't so good in decision making. That's why I make so many mistakes by resisting so much and not following the Bible. And when I started a family and settled down, I think it was actually a good decision, because who knows where I could have been. So put that aside, and something that I learned over the years when I observed what's going on, but I can say that I already participated. What's going to be, like I heard already. So the subject is immigration, and it's related because the UK, Germany, and other European nations, and the United States, even Australia, bro. Like what? They all took. I think they all took immigrants to their borders. Even some of them crossed the border illegally. I think Andrew Tate's statement, something smart about it. Like, I don't like the guy much because he's like, I don't want to say I don't like him based on podcast, but I'm gonna say the good point he's argue on. So basically the point is why it's even started to be a concern, because of the riots, because of the propagandas, right? Because of all those things, what actually Israel had a caveat from the first place. Always try to tell you guys. Bro, I saw in the news that I'm not saying that everyone doing that kind of stuff, but Man, I never heard about, like, most of them usually are immigrants. So I'm talking about radical anti-Semitic actions from medical sisters and brothers in Australia. That's only one example that confronted that they're gonna kill an Israeli with a medicine. They have to swear when they go into medicine. Wait a second, that's my baby right here. Did podcast with my baby quite a time. Walking here on the street. Gave my wife some quality time so she can take a rest. Anyways, so all the crazy things that's going on, and so basically what Tate said is, what's a nation called? It's called, like, I heard it randomly today. So it's called because it's named on the map, like Britain, or it's called because of the people in it. And another interesting point that he mentioned was, that's quite of a mathematics, that immigrants are making babies much faster than the Western society, and that's messed up. So in some point they're gonna, I'm not sure if they're gonna surpass, because we're not talking about in scales of 1,000 years, but for an example. But still, if you look at the graph over the years, they grew, all right? Like, I'm not sure, I checked it out, I don't remember the exact numbers, but still, like, I know that there is 3 to 4 million Muslims in Paris. That's a number who can influence somebody. When I say somebody, I mean the government. So if they were a decent human beings, I'm not saying all of them, like some of them must have been working like I'm gonna give, for instance, the minister of Poland, I think, said that they don't accept Muslims, and they accept instead people from Ukraine. So why is that? So he explains that people from Ukraine are helping their economics, and no one feels threatened or unsafe or making some dominant territory gang signs like it's Harlem, spraying all over Paris, free Palestine, like attacking random people. So he explains that I'm just saying, I'm not being racist. It's not nothing to do with racism. When something threatens society, threatens the nation itself, not only society as a society in general, but it threatens the people, threatens the white people. I mean, London already has black people, and it already has crime. We all know that. To add that up, you have all those people. I'm actually curious. I'm gonna ask ChatGPT what percentage of them actually contributing society with work. And even if they do, like, still you can work and still be a shitty person, you know what I mean? And that's exactly what the president of or the ambassador of Poland, the point he's trying to give. Like, even after the work, it doesn't matter if you work at agriculture, you work in some businesses in the central of the city, but you're not a threat after your work. You're not going into some propagandas, making these scary signs on the street, jihad, you know, not to mention terror attacks, cross borders illegally, and more crime, etc. You know, when I see people in my country committed crime, like, I'm ashamed, man. I'm really ashamed, and I'm not saying I'm perfect, but still, like, there's so many ways to make money. There's so many ways to solve something. Like, you don't have to be a dipshit. But they don't have that kind of mentality. I'm gonna tell you more. I'm not familiar exactly with the rules of the Quran, but let me tell you a secret. Also, do they? They can basically just listen to some radical leader, and I'm not sure it's quoted from the Quran itself. So my concern from was already existed, but I am a believer, and I believe that the British people, for instance, should stand up for themselves. They used to be the strongest nation. We all talk in their language, like how powerful the British nation was, how powerful the French were. They colonized all North Africa, and now look what's going on. They're scared to make the wrong move, so they're not gonna get a riot or something like that. Also, another thing, people don't like, especially the Muslims, they don't want to let go of the past. They don't want to how should I put it? They don't want to be like modern society. They stay in their belief, maybe when it's pleasant for them, I'm not sure, but you can see it here in Israel as well. Like, that's the funny thing, that we are the common factor, that we all have tolerance for all that. Let me give you an example, quick one. So one quick example, that they work the girls with their mask on and you see only their eyes. I don't remember, maybe there's a term or a name for it, but that's creepy, man. I think I heard that the French people won't allow this to continue no more, but that's like one example. Also in propagandas, notice that also in propagandas. Wait a minute. Also in propagandas, they hide their faces most of the time. So my question to you guys, how much of them actually doing something for society? And how much of them are danger to society? And how much of them are like, you have that feeling that they're trying to occupy your land secretly? Actually, it's not that secret because they're stupid, but you know what I mean. Final point that I want to come across: why all those countries have the nerve to do embargo on Israel? I mean, seriously. Like, we had all those problems that I previously talked about, and that's not new to me. But I thought that like Europe is gonna feel the EU, the USA is gonna understand what we're going through. Instead, they're afraid from a small group of people that are threatening their society. And let me tell you something, their society is much larger than the society in Israel. Like, we basically live with them. I'm not talking about the West Bank. I'm talking about Israel itself. How can somebody say that Israel is not cooperative, not negotiable? How could you say that when we lived with them all along since the establishment of Israel? That's crazy to me, man. The ignorance of the world, the pressure on not so much of a strong leaders, because you're not only going against Israel, like you're showing the weakness that you're surrendering to their demands. They care about this topic so much. They don't, like, just because they're like for instance, the Gaza-Israel war, just because what? They're family? They're what? They're just Muslims. And they're too busy. Man, wait a second. And they're too busy to goddamn make those, I don't know, man, influence on the United States and the EU instead of like mind their own business, man. Like, what the hell? Oh man. Woo. Привет. Подкаст. Да? А, за это он кричит. За это он неспокойный. Давай, бегай, не мешай тебе. Мы ждем тебя. That was my wife. I also speak Russian, by the way. So, I'm just curious, man. Why are you have so much time? Not to mention the criminals. That's crazy. Like how a country can be tolerant to criminals. I'm not gonna even elaborate on that topic no more. But let just for the regular ones. Even in Israel, you have a doctor that had the nerve to do something political in her PhD and ceremony. Like what is that has to do with anything? What is going to be on national television? Like what's going on with people in Israel supporting to stop the war, I guess, but like that's not the topic. But that so what they have, so that's what they do. They study and then they're all day defending Gaza, I guess, do those protests and whatnot. That's crazy. Like go to the gym or something. Do something. I mean, and I'm sure there is not like what they have to do. Like some Pakistani and I don't know, man, Syrian. It's not your war. It's something about the Muslims that want to take over. I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you. They all over right now. Full Muslim neighborhoods. You want to tell me that is normal? In what world that is normal? All right? Also in Israel, you have cities that I'm not talking about the territory. Once again, I'm not talking about the West Bank. I'm talking about inside Israel, full cities belonging to the Muslims. Not to mention they live belong us as well. Like how much a tolerance we can be. And all that could have been ended up good if no one decided to be a criminal. You know what I mean? So the main problem here is the criminals. The main problem also that they don't have nothing to do with their lives. Like how they find time to study, how they find time to work. For real though. I know like you can, and how it's even has to do with you, like even like I miss the old days, like when you're like no one asks questions, when like World War II, you know, beat the hell of the Nazis, man. Like too much criticism on what? On the brutality that they started from the first place. Like it all comes down to that. I know. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about the reason. They have their own reason that I sum up in previous video. I'm just curious how they live their lives. Like you came to the my dream was to study in the United States. And I didn't fulfill it. I even didn't travel there yet. They get the goddamn opportunity to change their lives, to elevate to something better. What they do with that? What they do with it? Like I think, in my opinion, like to do a protest, it's legal, all right. But when you live in a country and you do something for the country, but to do something for that's not related whatsoever to the country you live in, i.e. the United States, yeah, it's related because it's helping us, but still, like if you're like, for me, a logical point of view, like do a protest for like in the United States on topics and conditions of living in the United States. That's logical in my head. To do a protest in Israel because we decide what's going on, either it's in the Gaza Strip or the West Bank, I can get that. But to do something like that in Europe, which is unrelated, like has nothing to do with the problems, with the conflict. I'm not even saying which side is right or wrong. I already got into this discussion. I'm just saying, like, to do something like that and influence the country only because you got a student visa, and to do whatever and commit all those crimes instead of looking for a bright future. That's what's messed up. That's what's not feeling, that's what's controversial in my head. So may God bless us all, and may we came back to the times when people stand for themselves. You know, even the people in Israel are a little bit delusional. Only when it's survival, the mechanism starting to work. But when it's not, it's hippie. So I think we're all eating from the oatmeal that we cooked. Anyways, guys, I hope for the very least the government will do something about it too. Not even It doesn't matter what topic, but to defend the country. About the increase of the population, the crime rate, the influence that some other group has on not their country, the fact that they take that influence from a country to a country, all that sorts of questions. Leave a comment below. What do you think? I'm very curious. Thank you guys. Like and subscribe if you like my content, and may the truth set free. Let's go.